Imagine waking up alone in deep space. Your entire crew is dead. You don't remember your own name. And somewhere, billions of people on Earth are counting on you to save humanity. But what nobody expected was that the person who would help save Earth wouldn't even be human. Today, we're breaking down Project Hail Mary, an incredible Sci-Fi adventure about friendship, sacrifice, and one of the greatest alien characters ever created. And trust me, the ending of this story will absolutely hit you in the feels. So grab your snacks, and let's jump in. The story begins with a man named Ryland Grace, who suddenly wakes up aboard a mysterious spaceship. He has no idea who he is. He doesn't know where he is. And even worse, he can't remember why he's there. The only things around him are two dead crewmates resting in their pods. Completely alone and confused, Grace begins exploring the ship, desperately searching for answers. Slowly, fragments of his memory start returning. And with every new piece of information, the truth becomes more terrifying. Because the fate of the entire human race depends on him. But what Grace discovers next changes everything. Humans aren't the only civilization fighting for survival. As Grace recovers his memories, we learn about an unimaginable disaster back on Earth. Scientists discovered a mysterious microorganism called astrophage. This strange life form absorbs enormous amounts of energy directly from stars. And unfortunately, it has started feeding on our sun. Year after year, the sun becomes dimmer, threatening to plunge Earth into a global ice age. Entire nations prepare for food shortages, economic collapse, and possible extinction. Humanity is running out of time. But then, scientists notice something incredible. A distant star called Tau Ceti isn't being affected at all, while other nearby stars are losing energy. Tau Ceti remains perfectly healthy. If humanity can discover why, they might still have a chance. And that's when the most desperate mission in human history begins. Project Hail Mary. Before all of this, Ryland Grace wasn't an astronaut. He was actually a middle school science teacher who used to be a respected biologist. Because of his expertise, an incredibly powerful international leader named Eva Stratt recruits him to help solve the astrophage crisis. The mission sounds simple on paper. Travel to Tau Ceti. Find out why its star is immune. And somehow bring back a solution. The problem? The journey is basically a one-way trip. The astronauts know they may never return home. At first, Grace refuses to go. He's a scientist, not a hero. He doesn't want to die millions of miles away from Earth. But after a series of tragic events, fate places him aboard the Hail Mary spacecraft anyway. And now, he's the only survivor. But the biggest surprise in the universe is still waiting for him. When Grace finally arrives at Tau Ceti, something impossible appears on his radar. Another spaceship. But it wasn't built by humans. Someone else made it. Someone from another world. Inside is an alien engineer that Grace eventually names Rocky. And this is where the story becomes truly unforgettable. Rocky isn't an invader. He isn't a villain. He's simply another scientist trying to save his own planet. Just like Grace. Rocky is basically the greatest engineer in the universe. The guy can build impossible machines in minutes. But human language completely breaks his brain. The two struggle to communicate at first. Rocky speaks through musical sounds and experiences reality in a completely different way. Yet slowly, science becomes their common language. They exchange knowledge. They solve problems together. They learn to trust one another. And what begins as a terrifying first contact slowly turns into one of the greatest friendships in modern science fiction. Honestly, Rocky isn't just an amazing alien. He's the emotional heart of this entire story. But their greatest challenge is still ahead. Together, Grace and Rocky investigate a nearby planet called Adrian. And there, they discover something extraordinary. Another organism known as Tomoeber. Unlike everything else, Tomoeber actually eats astrophage. This changes everything. If they can bring this organism back home, they can stop astrophage from draining their stars. Meaning, both Earth and Rocky's world could survive. But getting the samples isn't easy. The two scientists face dangerous experiments, terrifying situations, and countless failures. After a dangerous mission to collect the Tomoeber samples, disaster strikes. While trying to return to the ship, Grace suffers severe injuries and barely manages to make it back alive. Exhausted and struggling to breathe, he collapses unconscious before he can even secure his spacecraft. When Rocky realizes something is wrong, he does something incredible. Despite the fact that Earth's atmosphere is extremely dangerous for him, Rocky breaks through the protective barrier separating their environments and rushes to help his friend. The journey nearly kills him. But Rocky doesn't hesitate. He manages to place an oxygen mask on Grace's face and works desperately to keep him alive. Hours later, Grace finally wakes up. And the first thing he sees is Rocky lying injured inside his own enclosure. Saving Grace came at a terrible cost. Rocky was badly hurt while crossing into the human environment. Now their roles are reversed. Grace spends hours caring for his friend, using heat lamps and emergency equipment to slowly raise Rocky's body temperature and help him recover. For a while, neither of them knows if Rocky will survive. But eventually, Rocky begins responding. And in that moment, both of them realize something important. They aren't just scientific partners anymore. They're true friends willing to risk their lives for each other. And eventually, they succeed. Humanity finally has a chance. But the choice Grace makes next is something almost nobody sees coming. Grace prepares to return to Earth with a cure. After everything he's endured, he's finally going home. But then, disaster strikes. Tomoeber escapes inside Rocky's ship and begins consuming his astrophage fuel. Without help, Rocky will die alone in space. Grace now faces an impossible decision. He can save himself and return to Earth as humanity's greatest hero. Or he can sacrifice everything to save his best friend. And in one of the most emotional moments in modern science fiction, Grace turns his ship around. In that moment, he realizes something bigger than saving himself. Rocky isn't just an alien anymore. His family. And sometimes, the people worth saving aren't from your own world. Before leaving, Grace sends the cure back to Earth, ensuring humanity still has a chance to survive. Then, together, he and Rocky begin a new journey toward Rocky's home planet. Years later, Grace learns that Earth survived. Humanity was saved. And instead of becoming a legendary hero back home, he finds happiness in the most unexpected place imaginable. Teaching science to alien children on another world. Project Hail Mary isn't just a story about space. It's a story about friendship, sacrifice, and how curiosity and science can unite even the most different civilizations. And honestly, Rocky might be one of the greatest alien characters ever created. But here's my question for you guys. What would you do? Would you return to Earth and become the greatest hero in human history? Or stay behind to save the one friend who stood beside you when nobody else could? And while you're down in the comments, tell me this. Is Rocky the greatest alien character ever written? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe MovoraX for more movie explanations. And until next time, keep exploring the impossible.